fiber friends, and welcome to Stitches and Starlight. My name is Tashiana, but you can call me Tashi because that's what all my friends do, and we're friends now. Welcome to my corner of the internet where we talk about what I am spinning and what I am knitting and what I am making. It is just fiber joy and wool chaos all the time. Thank you so much for clicking on this thumbnail. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. There are a million voices clamoring for your attention on the internet, and I am so grateful that you chose to spend some time here with me. And if you're a returning viewer, you already know what time it is. Welcome back to the nonsense. I'm coming to you from my home that I share with my husband Joshua and my two hell kittens. Oh, guys, real quick, I think I got at least 2 comments from people who thought the hell kittens were actually full actualized humans. No, they are in fact cats. I don't know what it says about me that people think that I would actually call like tiny humans that I carried in my body and then like gave birth to hell kittens, but I think it's a good thing. But no, I do share my home with Joshua and the 2 hell kittens, which are actually cats, Minerva and Astoria. My intro is all sorts of discombobulated today, but hello, welcome. All links to everything I mentioned today, if I can find a link to it, will be in the description box. So if you're curious about something, or I said something too quickly, or something went over your head because I was babbling and going on a million tangents, check the description box. Also, before I forget, thank you so much to everyone who has supported my channel through Ko-Fi. The Ko-Fi link is in the description box, and oh my lord, you guys were so kind, and I cried real tears. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for all the thoughtful messages. Thank you for all the thoughtful comments. You guys just fill me right up. It feels so good to know that I found my community in this crazy interwebs. So yes, thank you. Giant thank you. Let's talk about what I'm wearing because I'm sweating to death and I might have to take it off. I thought I could film in my Ranunculus today. I was wrong. I'm going to have to go get a t-shirt. But this is my Ranunculus. You have yet to see it on me. So this is what it looks like. I am glistening. I am glowing. Your girl is sweaty. It gotta go. It gotta go. But this is my Ranunculus, knit out of 2 strands of Nutaden. It is my cloud sweater. It is super comfy. It is really warm. It is wild to me that unspun yarn is as warm and lofty as it is because this sweater weighs 230 grams. And I thought I could just sit here and just talk shop. I'm dying. I'm literally dying. I'm gonna wear it as long as possible, but like if you see like my forehead start to shine, like don't tell me. It's okay. I already know what's happening. Your girl, we were talking about heat strokes last week. The heat stroke might be a real thing that happens this week, but until then, I'm gonna look fly. So here's my Ranunculus. Okay, so there are no finished objects this week. I have not had as much knitting time as I would have liked because I had work stuff going on and I was just very tired. So I did do as much knitting as I could fit in to the time that I had allotted, but I have not finished anything. But I will say I set myself 2 very lofty goals, and the goals was to get to the ribbing on both. Here we go. The goal was to get to the ribbing on both of my test knits, and I will tell you we have met that goal. We have not exceeded the goal. We have gotten to the ribbing on both of my test knits, and then we have just, kicked back. We have really not kicked back. I got to the ribbing on my yellow sweater yesterday. So anyways, unless you're watching this in the year of our Lord 2300 and the cat overlords have outlawed Ravelry and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you my test knits. So the first one we'll talk about is my Laneway pullover that I'm testing for Sarah Opie. So here's, last time you saw it, it was just a yoke. It is now a body. So I have finished knitting the body and I have just, I've knit 2 rounds of ribbing and then I put needle stoppers on it and I called it, we put it away. But here we go. We'll get all up in there so you can see this. If this is the first time you're seeing this sweater, I mean, I've only talked about it one other time before, so it could be the first time you're seeing this sweater. If this is the first time you're seeing this sweater, it is the Laneway pullover, again, that I'm testing for Sarah. I am knitting the size 6, which is a 52-inch bust, which should give me anywhere from 5 to 6 inches of positive ease, blocking and whatever. My main color is Barocco Ultra Alpaca in the color Eiderdown, and my contrast color is, you already know what this is. It's handspun, you guys. It is handspun. I made this. I'm so pleased. Sometimes you get yarn on the bobbin and you spin yarn and you have no idea what it's going to do when it becomes knit fabric. This is doing exactly what I want it to do. All the colors are really harmonious. They're just blending together really nicely. And on top of it, it's a combo spin. So that's the other thing. It's 2 different colors that I was hoping would work because one braid had like the bright teals. You can kind of see like the bright teals there we go, focus. The bright teals and the greens, that came from one braid, and then one braid was just all neutrals and purples and like dusty rose colors, and I thought they would marry together really well. I'm really happy with the fabric of this. The hand spun is BFL. It's a 2-ply. I can't remember if I gave you any yarn specs last time, but I spun 600 yards over 8 ounces of 2-ply DK weight BFL yarn. I didn't check my grist because naughty. But yes, I had 600 yards after 8 ounces. BFL tends to be lower grist than like fine wools anyway, because it's a medium to long wool. So 600 yards from 8 ounces makes me happy, especially since it was DK weight. And my main color is worsted, but I'm knitting it at a DK weight and a DK weight gauge, and it's working out just fine. But I'm super happy with this. I cannot wait to get this on my body. I have 2.5 inches of ribbing and sleeves, and then I'm done. Then I'm done with this. And we are in week 3 of this test knit. So I am really happy with the amount of progress I've made on this sweater. And my other test that I'm going to show you is my Heritage Harbor pullover that I'm testing for my friend Sam. That is officially her name. So the last time I showed it to you, I had just joined it in the round. I have finished the body and I am about to start the ribbing. I knit the last few rounds of stockinette and then put it down, but I'm about to start the ribbing. And you guys, the fun stripe sweater, y'all, look at the fun stripes in this. I'm so happy with the way the fun stripes turned out. So we did orange, white, blue, white, dark green, white, pink, white, and then a darker teal color. And then we're going to go right into the ribbing. I don't know what I'm going to do for the sleeves because I'm not going to need this many stripes on the sleeves. I am going to alternate white stripes, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to pick colors and see what happens. I'm not going to follow this exact pattern. In terms of my striping sequence for the sleeves, I'm just kind of be like, laissez-faire. We'll see how it goes. But yes, this is the Heritage Harbor pullover that I'm testing for Samantha Guerin. I'm knitting it from North Bay Fibers Heritage DK, which is the yarn she wrote the pattern for, except a few of my contrast colors are just miscellaneous things I had lying around. This green is Knit Picks. This pink color is Hudson and West. And this dark teal down here is some Harrisville. I did not have enough North Bay Fibers colors to, do the alternating color that I wanted to. So I just started grabbing, and actually all 3 of these are held double because all 3 of these down here were fingering weight. So I literally just held them double and knit my stripe. I'm super happy with this. I'll hold it close so you can see the texture. This sweater is so fun. It has the stripes. It has alternating rows of like a ribbing texture. I saw Sam posted a picture in her stories of her wearing it with some wide leg trousers, and I was just like, yes, this is the vibe. So I'm really energized to finish this. Now there are 4 inches of ribbing between me and finishing this body and a tubular bind off. So it's going to be work. But I'm honestly thinking about skipping the ribbing and going to sleeves. I'm actually probably going to do that on both of my sweaters. It's just abandon ribbing, go to sleeves. And I'll probably do a collar on this too before I go back to the ribbing. That way the ribbing is like the last terrible thing I have to do between finishing the sweater. But I'm so pleased. I'm so happy. Yeah, so not bad for 2 weeks of knitting to end up with the body on 2 of my test knits and to be down to the ribbing, which was my goal. So I'm hoping that the next time you see me, these both have sleeves, because my life should be hitting some sort of equilibrium. So I should have a little bit more crafting time and a little bit more knitting time. So I'm hoping these will both have sleeves by the next time you see me. This is week 3 of this test. I have plenty of time. So I might be prioritizing this because if I remember correctly, I have 17 days, which again, for sleeves, a collar, and ribbing is plenty of time if I focus and I don't get, squirrel brain. So I might actually put this, like, back burner it for a little bit because, again, this is only week 3 in an 8-week test. This goes all the way to, like, mid-April. So I have plenty of time to work on this. So I think I'm going to prioritize this and finish this up first because, again, they're both in the same place. It's sleeves and ribbing. So and I have plenty of D&D time ahead of me. This is what I've been knitting on during. The reason I've made so much progress on this is I've just been knitting on this during D&D because both of these patterns do not require me to stare at a pattern. So I can just work on them while I'm like, rolling dice and torturing my DM. So I have plenty of D&D ahead of me. I'm really close to getting both of these done. And then I'll have 2 sweaters. There's easily like 1,300 yards in each of these. So if I knock these both off, that'd be like, at a minimum, 2,500 yards gone from the stash down in March, which that would be a quarter of the way through the stash down, a quarter of the way through the year. That feels really good. So those are my knitting works in progress. The rest of the stuff I'm going to show you for whips are like theoretical things. ideas, and then I have a million spindles to show you. So I have two swatches that I'm going to talk to you about real quick. The first one is for my Trinigan, which if you watch my 2023 knitting plans, you guys, the 2023 knitting plans have just gone all the way out the window. There are definitely some things on it that I'm still making, but for the most part, it's the squirrel brain, you guys. It's the squirrel brain. It's like I have plans and then shiny squirrel, and then it's just like plans go out the window. Thankfully, I have a sizable yarn stash that I can constantly like pivot and reevaluate, but I really, really wanted to make this. So the March to May Cal has started. I don't need to explain to you what the March to May Cal is. You already know. But Andrea Mowry has her March to May Cal every year, and my goal for the March to May Cal was to make the Trinigan. So I swatched. You guys, this swatch, it makes me so happy. So if you watch the 2023 knitting plans I shared, I don't have the yarn. I probably should have had the yarn with me. I don't have the yarn. I have one of the skeins actually. Ooh, guys. Oh, maybe I have one of the skeins. BRB. So I shared during my 2023 knitting plans that I had my Nest Fiber Advent Spins. This is one of the skeins. And I was going to knit it into a Trinigan. And we talked a lot about my yarn choice. And I ended up picking Peace Fleece Grassroots is their worsted on their worsted base. Because I knew it was going to be low contrast and really pretty. You guys, I was not prepared for how low contrast and pretty it was. But I finished that swatch and then I blocked it. And like my eyeballs fell out my head. And I was, ooh, child, the joy. The joy. So here's my swatch for my Trinigan. So it is just as low contrast and beautiful as I thought it would be. I love the way the colors dance in that hand spun with the tweedy texture of the Peace Fleece Grassroots. So like the further away you get, like it's like subtle patterning. Like if I, all the way back here, it looks like something. It looks kind of like mermaid scales. You don't know what you're looking at. And then the closer you get, you realize, there's two different colors, there's details. This is done with slip stitching. So there is there's so much purling. There's so much purling, you guys. But there's slip stitching, so I think that's going to help. I'm knitting mine on size 8s because the Peace Fleece was too dense on size 7s, the needle size that she wrote the pattern for. So she wrote it for Trinigan, which I'm assuming is not like a real worsted weight because none of the spin cycle weights are actually what they say they are. They market dyed in the wool as sport weight, and that's fingering, and they market Dream State as worsted, and that's DK weight. So I'm assuming Trinigan is also DK weight because the yarn weights don't ever add up. So instead of trying to knit Peace Fleece, which is a real worsted weight yarn, and it's a woolen spun worsted weight yarn, instead of trying to knit that on US 7s, I decided to swatch on US 8s. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of yarn math to figure out what size to cast on because my gauge is not, not going to be right on where Andrea's is, but I'm happier with the fabric at a looser gauge. Then I would be knitting this really dense yarn at on a US 7. It would just make it would make a dense fabric. It would make like a rug. And this still has like you see, still has a little bit of drape, still has a little bit of movement. So I'm just going to do some yarn math to figure out what size to cast on. But here's my swatch for my Trinigan sweater, which I'm really excited about. I showed one of my coworkers the picture and I showed her my swatch and she was like, heck yeah, Tashi, I can totally see that on you. This is going to fit into my wardrobe perfectly, and it's going to give me like really nice color but without being like ostentatious over the top yellow sweater color. Guys, I'm so happy about this. So this is the first swatch. The other swatch is completely unplanned. Thea Coleman makes the most brilliant cabled and textured design sweaters. And she had this sweater that she dropped that I saw Sam at Elemental Knitworks wearing, and it was called the Harvey Wallbanger. It's a Harvey Wallbanger, and it was like giving me retro striped sweater of my dreams. And then I bought the pattern and I realized two things. One, it is all over lace, and two, it is seamed. And neither of those things are things I've attempted before. Lace is beyond me. And seaming, like knitting a sweater flat and putting it together is like, ooh, terrifying. So I was talking to Thea and she was like, you can totally do this. And she talked me off the edge. So I did go, shop my yarn stash, and I came up with a really fun yarn combo. If you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this, but if you haven't, here's my swatch. So here's my swatch for the Harvey Wallbanger sweater. This is Harrisville Nightshades in the color Insomnia, which is their like fun green base. This is Magpie Fibers Domestic Worsted, which is Superwash Merino in Tactical. And then this Gray Stripes hand spun. And I probably should have had the yarn. I'm going to grab the yarn so you can see it because the hand spun has really fun colors in it. And you'll understand why I put these colors together if you see all three cakes together. Okay. Here's my yarn stack. So this is the hand spun, which you're only getting the gray in that swatch, but this is the hand spun. And this is actually what my yarn stack looks like. There's fiber on everything. This is my yarn stack for my Harvey Wallbanger sweater. Now this is going to be my white whale project because again, it is seamed and it's all over lace. You know what I learned knitting that swatch, you guys? I learned that I can't count to 7. Well, I can't count to 7 more than once, I guess, because I kept dropping stitches and picking up stitches and making stuff up and then losing my yarn overs. So what some people who, I was talking to while I was knitting my swatch gave me some advice to is to mark out my repeats. So when I knit this sweater, I'm probably going to mark out every like 3 repeats so I can keep track, because it took me it wasn't until I marked out the repeats that my swatch started making sense. My eyelets weren't lining up. It was a wild ride, but I'm really happy with this. I think this is going to make a really cool sweater. Also, like, look at how good that looks on me. Like, it's going to be kind of vampy, kind of goth, kind of weird, but also still in my power colors, which is like the olive green. And then look at these cakes together. Just like, get up in there. I'm so pleased. It's like these 2 cakes were made together. And then as far as this being superwash merino, it's the most rustic superwash merino I've ever touched. I don't know where they mill this, but this is literally the nicest superwash merino I've ever handled. It still feels rustic. It still feels like wool. I'm really happy about this. I have a huge love affair with the Nightshades and Daylights line from Harrisville. It's Cormo and American wool. It's squishy, it's springy, it's woolen spun. It's everything I ever want. So this is going to be my white whale project. I'm going to say this from now. This is my birthday sweater. I'm giving myself till November to work on this. I'm wondering if once I get it started, if it'll just like, fly off my needles. Especially because it's knit in small pieces, so I should be able to like knock off piece, and then be able to seam them together. But I'm also giving myself, this is my birthday sweater, so we'll see how far I get. So be prepared to see this multiple times and then never see it again, and then see it again, and then never see it again, based on the ebb and flow of my interest. Although it being lace and all over lace might keep me interested. So we'll see. But yeah, your girl can't count to 7, so there's that. Congratulations, I guess. So those were all my knitting whips. I thought we would talk about some spinning whips and some spinning projects I have going on. Before we go too far, I'm just going to show you, I made some progress on my Fin Rainbow that Brittany shared me. So I got the first 2 skeins of the Fin Rainbow spun up. Here's what they look like. I spun these on my Lendrum. I spun them super soft. I think I spun them on my 12-to-1 ratio, which I never ever spin on, but I really wanted to keep this yarn lofty and light. I mean, can we just talk? Look at that squish, that squish, that bounce, that recovery. I really wanted to prioritize that in this spin, so I spun it really softly spun, really softly plied. Each of these are about 120 yards for 50 grams. So 120 yards for 50 grams would give me about 240 yards for 100 grams. I would say that this is about DK worsted, but I have not washed this. So I don't check my yarn stats until I wash it. So it doesn't make sense for me to check grist or anything else, because this might bloom, this might shrink, this might do a number of things. But you guys, look at how pretty that is. Oh, and the has such good drape. I mean, it has such good movement. I'm really jazzed about this. So I'm going to hopefully finish the rest of the Fin Rainbow this week. I mean, over the next 2 weeks. This was a delight to spin. Brittany, thank you so much. This was an absolute delight to spin. I love this. I love this. I mean, I'm a huge Fin fan. It's one of those like borderline medium wools. I love this. I love this. I got to figure out what to do with it. I'm really leaning towards a colorwork cowl based on like how much yardage I get, or like a fun stripy lace thing. I don't know, but it's all going in the same project. I mean, look at, it dances. It makes me so happy. So that is my one spinning whip. The other spinning whip we're going to talk about has a bit of a story. So I mentioned in the Q&A, which also everybody, thank you so much for the kind feedback you guys left on the Q&A. It is a little bit scary putting yourself out there on the internet for like people to look at. And I really wanted to talk a little bit more about myself so you guys got to know me a little bit better. But that's also like terrifying to just go, hey, strangers on the internet, here's a bunch of stuff about me. Please be gentle and please be kind. And you guys were so thoughtful and so gentle and so kind. And I really appreciated all those comments. We'll have to do another Q&A in the future because it seemed a bunch of you really enjoyed it. So I mentioned in the Q&A that I'm doing a sock spin along for March, and I'm really hoping to spin yarn for socks. If you're on Instagram, the hashtag is Starlight Sock Spin. But it's like an informal spin along, so you don't have to like do anything. You could just spin yarn for socks, like make yarn with me, I guess. So I was talking to some of the ladies in the Discord server. No, I was talking to some of the folks. I need to like constantly work on that. I was talking to some of the folks in the Discord server about spinning sock yarn. And my initial plan was to spin this bat. So here's my bat. And in here is some dyed cheviot, which I've learned is cheviot, not cheviot, so I will make an effort to say it correctly. Some dyed cheviot. There's some of that baby doll South Down Navajo Churro cross roving that I got for socks, and some mohair. So here's my bat. The cheviot was dyed by Hello Yarn, and it obviously once you put it through the carder, it just becomes one color. It was a dyed hand-painted braid, but it was the only cheviot I had in my stash that I think it's the only cheviot I had in my stash besides the one that I'm spinning on my spindles. So it's getting blended up into this beautiful rosy color, which, I'm not mad. And they're still like, it's not super blended all the way. I only did 2 passes because I wanted it to get some heathering. I didn't want it to be super blended. So there's still some like white places from the undyed wool in it. I'm really happy with the bat. But I wanted to spin a 4-ply cable yarn for socks. That was going to be my big project, was to learn how to spin a 4-ply cable yarn. I'm always learning. Always trying to find ways to be better at the things that I do. And so I really wanted to spin a 4-ply cable yarn, and a 4-ply cable yarn requires so much twist. So if you're new to spinning and you have no idea what I'm talking about, 1, don't learn from me. It's a bad idea. 2, a cable yarn. So when you spin a cable yarn, you spin your singles. So you spin your singles, you ply, but you up-ply, and then you ply again. So you spin a single, you 2-ply, and then you ply your 2-ply yarn back on itself to make a 4-ply cable. And what that does is it adds a lot of structure and intensity and durability, not really intensity, a lot of structure and a lot of durability to your yarn, and also makes this really round yarn. So a 2-ply yarn tends to be oval, and when you ply it again, you now get this really round, high structure, high tensile strength yarn. So I really wanted to spin a cable yarn for socks. This required too much twist to become a cable yarn, and it eventually became ropey. And when I thought about it, it made perfect sense. The baby doll South Down Navajo Churro cross it has South Down, but it still has a churro, and it behaves a lot like a long wool. And so just putting that much twist in it made it super ropey. And I don't know if cheviot is designed to take as much twist as I was packing into it to make that yarn. And I was also spinning it with a lot of smoothing, high twist, high spin to make the cable. And my singles already felt really dense and unhappy, and I was like, it's fine. And then you have to like up-ply to get it back to a cable. And by the time I got to the cable yarn, I had a cable yarn, but I did not like it. And I didn't know if I would enjoy spinning it, and I definitely didn't think I would enjoy knitting it. It felt ropey and weird. Now, I probably would have made a really strong sock yarn, but am I going to knit socks from yarn that I don't enjoy? Probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm not tabling this. This is a great sock foundation. I'm just going to spin a 3-ply. My normal 3-ply, because it won't require as much twist to spin a 3-ply, and I won't have to up-ply it to ply it back on itself. So I'm just going to spin a normal 3-ply. This is a 50-gram bat. I have another 50-gram bat in the bedroom. I just did not bring both of them. This is 60% cheviot, 30% baby doll South Down Navajo Churro cross, 10% mohair. So it is going to be an excellent, excellent sock yarn. Cheviot I keep calling it cheviot. The cheviot in it will be resistant to felting. It's going to have a nice long staple length. That mohair and that Navajo churro in it is going to add some stability to it. So it's going to be, it shouldn't have like holes, like it shouldn't wear through. So I'm really excited about this. So this is still going to get spun up. It's just not going to get spun up for the sock spin because I went and I pivoted. Thankfully, I have my Discord server that is full of like bright young minds who like will talk me off the edge of doing crazy things, but also help me think. So I'll show you what I'm actually doing instead of this. So I was talking to Natalie, whose Instagram name I'm blanking on, but Natalie is an amazing spinner, and I learn from her every single time we talk, and she's like super inspiring. I'm her biggest fan, and she was saying that she's going to spin her cable yarn from Targhee, and it like occurred to me like that's perfect because a fine wool can take all of the twists that a cable yarn needs. So I pivoted, and I also am spinning a cable yarn from Targhee. So I spun a little sample. Guys, I spun so many samples that first night. I was ready to like, I don't know what I was ready to do. I think I spun like 5 or 6 samples that first night and then like hardcore pivoted and spun a new sample the next day. Here's the sample of my cable yarn. Now look at that. That is almost, it has a little bit of counter spin, but it is almost perfectly balanced, which I'm really pleased about because getting a balanced cable yarn, the cable yarns that I was spinning from that cheviot was not at all close to balance. This was like, it had a little bit of counter spin and out of the water, but after I washed it and I finished it, it is perfectly balanced. It is 16 wraps per inch, which is like fingering weight, sweet spot. It still has bounce. I mean, look, that is still, ooh, that still has bounce, that still has elasticity, which is really important for a sock yarn. So it has recovery because you knit a sock yarn with negative E. So you want a yarn with like bounce and elasticity and recovery so that it like shrinks on your foot. And then when you take it off, it doesn't stay like stretched out. Now this is not like the funnest color swatch because I pulled off a little bit off the end. I should have brought the fiber that I'm spinning it from. I'm very bad and very badly prepared today. I didn't bring the fiber that I'm spinning. But it goes from black to brown to like a peachy color to like a white and then blue and then repeats itself that way. So here is the yarn up close so you could see what a cable yarn structure looks like. I'm trying to get it here. So I'm hoping you can see what the structure of a cable yarn looks like. It's round. And it's hard to explain. I mean, if you can't really tell what I'm doing here, then I would highly recommend going online and looking at pictures of a cable yarn. But here is the cable yarn that I'm spinning for my socks. And it's something that should have occurred to me, but it didn't. But we spin conventional spinning, says you spin your single Z, because I'm a cool Canadian. You spin your single Z and then you ply S. But with a cable yarn, you ply again. So your finished yarn is now a Z-ply yarn instead of an S-ply yarn. And there's a lot of like chatter about whether Z-ply yarns are better for crochet or S-ply yarns are better for knitting, or if you're untwisting your yarns as you knit based on like what the twist is in your finished yarn. So I have a fair amount of experience with knitting with my own handspun, but all the handspun that I've knit with has been S-ply yarns. And now I'm going to end up with a Z-ply yarn. And I have no idea if that's going to affect my yarn because, you know, your yarn could untwist based on like which way you knit. They're saying like some's better for continental, some's better for English. There's so much like nuance to making yarn. So once you start spinning, you can start really like dialing into all these things and making all these choices for your yarn. So in the interest of science, because I am a scientist and I cannot help myself, I'm going to spin two 50 gram yarns. One is going to be Z-ply and one's going to be S-ply. And then I'm going to knit socks. I'm going to have to like find a way to label the sock. Like I think I might put like a white stripe in the heel somewhere for like my Z-ply and like put a different color stripe in the heel. Like I'm going to have to do something so I mark, or in the toe. I'll have to do something so I mark which sock is the Z-ply yarn and which sock is the S-ply yarn. Because one, I want to see if the knitting changes with my Z-ply yarn versus my S-ply yarn. And two, I want to see if the socks wear differently. If I am untwisting my yarn as I knit, then I mean, the way my brain goes is if I'm untwisting the yarn as I knit, my yarn is not as durable, does not have as much tensile strength, my socks might wear through faster. So this is a giant experiment in the interest of science and figuring out more things about yarn because I'm a nerd and I like figuring things out about yarn. I'm going to spin a Z-ply yarn and an S-ply yarn, and we'll see what happens. It never even occurred to me to think about this. I just started spinning my single Z because I always spin my single Z. And then someone mentioned having a Z-ply yarn, and I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see if a Z-ply yarn or an S-ply yarn. I'm so obsessed with the bounds of this. Like, this has so much squish. Targhee is such a delightful fiber. I mean, if you've never spun Targhee before and you like that squish, I highly recommend looking at Targhee because it's absolutely delightful. The fiber I'm using is created by LCB, and it's the color Chinko Teague, which I don't have to show you. So I'll show it to you next time because I honestly don't know where I put it. So yeah, I like jumbled everything up to get ready for the podcast. So I have no idea where I put it. So that is the sock spin. So if you want to spin for socks, all you have to do is just literally spin for socks. If you want to share on Instagram, you can use the hashtag Starlight Sock Spin. But yeah, literally spin yarn for socks. We're going to spin yarn for socks in March and then knit socks in April. And it'll be a giant experiment. I know Natalie's doing the same experiment I am. I know some people are messing around with Hauser, that's how you say that, are messing around with Hauser yarn. Some people are doing crepe ply yarn. Some people are doing opposing 3-ply yarns. We're all just messing around with different like yarn structures for socks to see which one's the most durable. And it's like a grand experiment. This is one of the things that I casually threw out. I was like, you guys want to spin for socks? And then everyone was like, yes, let's also do all this detailed sampling. And honestly, yarn people are such nerds and I love it. I love it so much. I found the intersection of like fun color and nerddom that is like spinning yarn is just, it's delightful. So that's the sock spin. We're going to talk about one more whip. So I do the 100-day project. I attempt the 100-day project every year. I've only been successful of the 5 years I've attempted it, I've been successful 3 times. Last year, I decided to spin on my wheel. every day for 100 days. And this year I'm doing, I'm spinning on my fidget sticks. That's what I've called my support spindles, or all my spindles in general. They're just fidget sticks. They keep my hands busy when I'm super fidgety and my brain has the zoomies and it's about to like fly out my head. I pick up my fidget sticks. So I thought I would show you where I am on my a million spindle projects. I just have a bunch of them ongoing. So I don't know if I'll ever finish one because I literally have a bunch of them ongoing. But I've been sharing pictures on Instagram every day that I spin. So today's day 11. I did my spinning already for the morning, but I have not shared a photo yet. But I thought I would just show you where I am on all my spindle whips because I have a few that are ongoing and I don't think I've ever shown you any of them. So I have them all in this basket right here. This is not how I normally keep them. I don't store my spindles flat. I store them vertical with no pressure on the shaft. But I did just grab a bunch of them to show you. So here, I think I'll just grab the ones that are together. So this is my Cheviot sock spin that I'm doing with some Rolags that I carded from Cheviot. I don't know why I keep saying Cheviot. I know it's Cheviot. I'm probably just going to keep saying Cheviot. Please don't correct me. I know what it is. It's just I said Cheviot for so long, it's going to be really hard to untrain my mind and my mouth. So this is my Cheviot sock spin that is dyed by Wee Chickadee. It's the color Iridescence. So I have two spindles of this. This is a Spindle Shop reverse cone spindle, and then this is a fun little gnome spindle from Carl at Woodland Handcrafts. So I have these two spindles. So that's these two. I'm spinning a braid of Mirabelle on Pullover and silk, dyed by Beth at Spindelicious. So here's the spindles I have of that. This is my fun full goddess. I have a little crow goddess here. And then these two spindles are from Spanish Peacock. So this is a Russian and this is a ninja. Both of these can take more fiber, but I've literally been alternating between the two. I've just been alternating to see which one feels good. This is a diamond wood spindle. The Russian is a diamond wood and the ninja is a Cocobolo whirl. Honestly, the more I spin, the more I realize that like these fast ninjas and these fast peacocks are like, not peacocks, Peacock is a brand. These fast Russians are what I prefer. So I mean, I have a lot of fidget sticks, but I did make sensible choices and that I tried a bunch of things so I could figure out what works and what sparks joy. I am definitely going to be destashing probably sooner than I had thought because I'm quickly figuring out what I like and what I don't like. So I think I've showed this to you already. This is the first spindle in my Hikari handmade Rolags. Focus. You don't even see my eyeballs. What are you focusing on? Here we go. This is the first spindle in my Hikari handmade Rolags. I spun this on a Tibetan from the Spindle Shop. So there's that. This is a Russian spindle from the Spindle Shop, but it's interesting because it's a teardrop. And I'm spinning a little bit of some Inglenook Sticklebats in the color coal something that someone shared with me. I don't remember. I got it in a D-stash. So when I got some of my goddess spindles, someone shared a little bit of these Inglenook Sticklebats with me. So there's that. I'm currently spinning one of my own Inglenook Sticklebats. This is the color Evenfall. And this is a spindle from Enid Ashcroft. This is her Tibetan. Well, I guess it's a bead Tibetan. And I'm spinning some of the Inglenook Sticklebats. This is the yellow in my batling that I made for Melody and I. I made matching batlings for Melody and I. It was like a friendship bracelet situation. She's almost done spinning hers and I still have two colors left. But I'm working on the yellow and it matches my Mingo and Asho lime glass pin perfectly. So I'm working on the yellow. And then this is a spin I started last night. I'm just going to get all this stuff off my lap. So this is a spin I started last night. I was really inspired by Vivian. She did a fun gradient spin where she ripped up her gradients and then hand carded it into Rolags and spun them on her support spindle. So this is color 1 of my gradient braid and then this is color 2. I'm going to end up with 8 spindles of this because there were 8 colors. These are both from Woodland Handcrafts. Here's my little birdhouse. Here's my little bird friend, which all of you guys were very pleased with. And he's paired with a little owl friend. So I'm going to have 8 spindles of these when I'm finished, and I'm on a mission to learn how to spin suspended. So these are all support spindles, so you spin them supported in a bowl, and then suspended spindles are like your drop spindles or your Turkish spindles. So I'm on a mission to learn to spin suspended. It's not, I don't know if it's, I don't know. I was going to say it's not coming to me as easy as supported spindles, but that's also not true. It's just different. It's just different. I dropped my drop spindle 100 times the first day. In fact, I have chipped my bossy a little bit from dropping it, which made me really sad because I was just like, no, Tashi, this is why you can't have nice things. I'm looking at the place where I chipped it and I don't see it. So maybe I didn't chip it. No, I did. I found it. From dropping it. So drop spindles are wild. But here's my drop spindle. Here's where I am. I feel like I make a lot more yarn when I spin on my supported spindles than when I spin on my drop spindles. But I think it's just because this is still really new to me. I'm spinning Autumn Memory by Three Waters Farm. And my friend Brenna is helping me figure out this beautiful wrapping situation. Thank you so much, Brenna, for answering all of my crazy questions. So that is my 100-day project. Now, I did not spin all of those in the last 11 days. A bunch of those were whips. I'm just going to continue working on my whips. I probably have like 6 or 7 spinning whips on my spindles, but they're all different fibers and they all do different things for me. So depending on how I feel the morning of, I just pick up, one of my fidget sticks and I make yarn for half an hour and I go to work. So today is day 11. I'm looking at that basket and that basket makes me so happy. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a little tour of what I've been working on my spindles. That is it for whips. We're going to move on to acquisitions. So before I show you like fiber and fidget sticks, I got 2 lovely little spinning vessels as gifts this week. Melody, thank you so much. It's so kind. Melody surprised me with a spinning bowl. I think it's a teacup actually. Is I think what she told me is it's a ceramic teacup, but it makes a delightful spinning bowl and it's just so pretty and so precious. And my supervisor bought me a singing bowl from John Galen. So it's a brass singing bowl and it has like the rainbow chakra beads. It's really heavy, it's really sturdy, and it actually does sing. So there you go. So when you hit it with your spindle, it like sings a little bit. And it's a treat to spin in, and it came with this like solid wood base so I could put it in my bed and it doesn't move. So I have 2 delightful little spinning surfaces. I mean, I don't know how many spinning surfaces I have now. I have a few, a lot, probably like 6. I can't count that. I don't know. I told you I can't count to 7. So I have a few spinning surfaces and they all do different things for me. So there's that. I have a few fidget sticks to show you. So I did get another soldier from my ninja army. That's what I've been calling it. I'm obsessed with these ninjas by Spanish Peacock. You guys, these are such delightful spindles. It's spalted holly. Can we just talk about that whirl? I like opened it and I shrieked. Like I literally shrieked. It's so delightful. And it spins like a dream. I mean, just look at her. She's just goes and goes and goes. They're delightful spindles. I'm super pleased. So another soldier from my ninja army. We are now at 3 soldiers in the ninja army. I did get some bossies. One of this one's mango. This one's mango wood. And then this one's red heart. And I think they're both delightful. I know nothing about drop spindles, so I've just been listening to the people who know more about drop spindles, and Brenna likes the bossy minis, not minis. M-I-N-I, small, minis. So there's that. Here's a Spanish Peacock, just full over. A Spanish Peacock Russian, I just love the color. It's hard to spin this in your hand. There we go. There we go. Now you can see like how they go. I was like, I'm not doing this justice. Now, Russians are not going to spin as long as a Tibetan or something with a bottom whirl will, but it will spin very fast. And I love the color of this. It's a purple magic wand. So this is from, not Spanish Peacock. This is from Straddle Creek Spins. I knew I was saying that wrong. This is from Straddle Creek Spins. It's their Russian. It has a little metal bearing. You can't see that. It has a little bit of a metal bearing. And I don't know if I have a preference from metal to non-metal tips yet. Still figuring that out. So, you make this up as you go. I got another Mingo and Asho glass pin. This one's in the autumn colorway. And it's green and gold and red. It's just beautiful. I love the handle of these. These are nice. Now, these are heavy. So these are kind of fatiguing to spin because they are not going to be your 15-gram Russians. I think this is like 40 grams. So this is going to be a little bit fatiguing to spin, but it is a sensory delight. And so who cares? Here are some Woodland Handcrafts. I did get, you guys, I got an owl. There's an owl in there. Hello, owl friend. This is their Fang. And then I got a Tibetan that has the phases of the moon on it, because moonlight, starlight just made sense. I'm very happy with these. Again, I am learning what I prefer, so I'm definitely going to be destashing a lot of my heavier Tibetans, because I don't think that they're just the spindles for me. And there's not that there's anything wrong with them, they're just not the spindle for me. This one's really special. So Melody and I have sister tacklies. This is my first tackly, and I talked to a few people about what kind of tacklies to look for. And this is my first tackly. It's by John Galen, and it's an Aztec coin. So it has a little coin on it, and then it has like Swarovski crystals. So tacklies are designed to spin really fast, and they're designed for spinning like small, short fibers like cotton. I think that's what tacklies are for cotton. But I wanted to learn to spin yak and cashmere and camel. So I did get a tackly. This is the same maker that makes the singing bowl. These spin so long, like you can't really see it in the bowl, but they're endless. They spin eternally, and they spin very fast. So wish me luck on spinning short fine fibers, because I have no idea how to do it, but I'm going to learn. And the last like kind of tool acquisition is a spinning spoon, which seems very silly, but I really like it. So it's designed to like hook into your belt. Yeah, so you hook it onto your waistband, and it lets you spin on the go. So I'm really excited about this, to just be a weirdo and spin on my spindles in public. And I got this from the Dancing Goat. I probably should have said that. So I got my spinning spoon from the Dancing Goat. It is just a vintage, probably should hold it here so you could see it. Here we go. It's just a vintage spoon that I think he bent, which I could not do, so I wouldn't bother. But here's my spinning spoon. And the last of the acquisitions are indeed prepped fiber, which I did say I was not getting this year. But I didn't have, I made two exceptions. One, I don't have Inglenook sticklebats, and I've been really drooling over Inglenook sticklebats, so I was able to catch an update. And two, I don't have any yak or cashmere or camel. Those are just not fibers that I bought before, because I didn't think I was good enough to spin them. So I figured if I got a tackly, I would get some short staples to spin on it. So quickly, I'll show you the Inglenook sticklebats that I got. So this is the color family Evenfall, and this has Cotswold CVM, Merino, Polewart, Silk, Bamboo, Silk Noil, and Angelina. It is literally everything. You'll notice that there's only one of these pink ones in here, because I've already started spinning it. I could not resist the day I brought it home. I did get Fingal's Cave. This is what Fingal's Cave looks like. Sorry for all the crinkling, but I'm leaving these in bags so I don't lose them. This has Merino, Hebridean Wool, Alpaca, Mohair, Silk, Ramie, Silk Noil, and Angelina. It's literally a laundry list of stuff. I love the Inglenook vibe. I love the way they blend color. So I'm really excited about this one. And then this is Pearlescent. And this has Merino Fleece, Angora, 14.5 micron Merino, Suri Alpaca, Silk, Bamboo, Sari Silk, and Angelina. And this one's like, it's mostly white, but it's run through with like little pastel pops of color. So it's gonna make a mostly white yarn with just like little rainbow flecks. I'm really excited about this. All of these are 4 ounces, so plenty of yarn. I do think I'm gonna spin them on my spindles. So I'm gonna be spinning them for the rest of my life. So there's that. I did get this one braid from Inglenook, and someone's gonna tell me I'm saying this wrong. It's Haunui. It's like that really special wool that I've only seen Inglenook carry. I haven't seen anyone else carry it. So it's Haunui, so it's silver Haunui and 30% mulberry silk in the color Moonstone. And this is a 5-ounce braid. So there is a lot of it. So there's that. And then I got myself a braid of camel silk from Greenwood Fiber Co. in the color Opal to spin on my tackly. So here's what that looks like. And this is to spin on my tackly. It's a little bit saturated. It's like really saturated. So it's really punchy color. And this is 50% camel, 50% silk. So it's going to make like a really luxurious yarn. I have no idea what to do for color management for this. Like I have no idea how to even begin spinning this. I think what would make the most sense is to spin a 3-ply to like dial some of these colors down, so they're not all so punchy and so bright. But I literally zero idea how to begin to attempt this. And this was gifted to me, and this is, I mean, these are 100% my colors. This is another braid of camel silk, and it's called Firelight. And it's just, I mean, these 100% are more my colors. I love a moody, deep jewel tone. So I'm really excited about spinning this. I am going to spin that other braid. I just don't know how. And I think ideally a 3-ply to mix and muddy those colors up is probably what I'm going to do. So that's it for acquisitions. We are going to do Ask Tazhi this week because I got a few interesting questions, and I'm actually going to combine questions today. So Sophie Sparling had a question. I'm super new to spinning. Can you define the difference between worsted spun and woolen spun yarn? So there's that. And then VN, oh, I think that's Vanessa, which is clever. It's VNSSA, but I think it's Vanessa. Vanessa Crafts says, I've been Spinfluenced and have a question about tools to prep fiber. What is the difference between using a hand carder, comb, and a flicker? So we are going to combine those questions because I can answer them at the same time. So I'm going to show you some tools, and then we'll talk about the difference in yarn prep and then actually spinning yarn. So this is not a demo, and you guys, I keep telling you over and over, I'm not the one. I might do a demo, but no, probably not. So these are hand cards. These are Ashford 72 TPI hand cards, and these are Valkyrie extra fine combs. And I say all the time that like wool processing tools are medieval torture devices. I mean, I turn into Wolverine when I use these. Probably should not be waving these. I was very irresponsible. Don't do that. But these are Valkyrie extra fine combs. I have 2 sets of combs. I have fine and I have extra fine. The extra fine are for extra fine wools. Sorry. And then I have the Ashford TPI hand cards. So the difference between them is the type of prep you're going to get. Anything that comes off of carder is going to be a woolen prep. Now you can do things to get a more organized prep coming off of a carder, but in general, these are, again, the thing about spinning yarns is there's so much nuance, and you can get as specific and dial it down as much as you want. So we're going to talk about it in general terms, and then you could parse things out from there. But in general, prep that comes off a hand card or a drum card or any sort of carding cloth is going to be a woolen prep. It is designed to disorganize the fibers, and you're going to end up with something really airy, really lofty. So with hand cards, you lash your fiber onto your cards, you pass back and forth. I just almost stabbed myself. You pass back and forth with your cards, and then you could roll it off into a little rolag, and then you get a little roll. It's a little log of fiber, and you can spin it that way. Or you could diz the fiber off of a hand card and get pin drafted. It's kind of like pin drafted roving. So that would be considered a carded prep. Carded preps are woolen preps because the fiber that comes off of them are disorganized. When you have combs are designed to organize fibers and lay them parallel against each other. So when you comb something, you lash it onto your combs and you go side to side. Now, I should not be moving this as much as I am, but there's no fiber on them, and I'm used to my combs. I've stabbed myself 100 times. Be gentle with yourself when you're using these. These are very, very dangerous, and you can hurt yourself. But you're going to go side to side, and you're going to pass your fiber probably 2 to 3 times, depending on how many times you plan on using your combs. And then you're going to diz your fiber off into what's called combed top. So whenever you hear people say things like, when people refer to combed top is fiber that came off of a comb. And like a bat or rolag or even pin drafted roving comes off of a carded prep. This is why I object to when I see people list dyed comb top as roving, because if you're going to really parse it out and get down to the semantics of things, roving implies a carded prep and comb top is a combed prep. So there you go. Comb top is a worsted prep. So it's fibers that have been aligned and laid parallel next to each other and will make a worsted prep. So that is the difference. Carders will make woolen preps. Now again, you could do a million things with them, but in general, carders will make woolen preps and combs will make worsted preps. From there, you spin your yarn. Now, a flicker is just designed to flick the tips and the butts. It doesn't do much for you. It's just sometimes you get a fiber that has like a little bit of cotting at the end or is a little bit jumbled, and you can just take a little flicker and like pull them open. I use a lock pop, which is kind of a vertical flicker because it's just easier on my hands. I have carpal tunnel. I try to be gentle on my hands, but that's what a flicker is. You can use flicker with a comb or flicker with cards. The flicker is the thing you do first, and then you can comb or card. You can also spin flicked locks. So you could just flick your locks open and spin it just like that. There's a million things you could do. But those are the 3 tools that was referenced in the question. To continue answering the question about worsted and woolen spun yarn, if you take a woolen yarn, a woolen prep, and you spin it by letting twist into the fiber supply, which is what people typically are doing when they spin long draw, that is a woolen yarn. if you take a worsted prep and you spin it like short forward and don't let twist into the drafting triangle and do not let twist into the fiber supply, that is a worsted yarn. Now, you can do a million things. You can take a woolen prep and spin it with a worsted draft. Or you could take a worsted prep and spin it with a woolen draft. So that's why when you're talking about your yarns, it's really helpful to be specific about the type of prep you use and the type of draft you use, because you can mix and match. There's a lot of chatter about what a true worsted yarn is. Like, a true worsted yarn is when you align tips and butts and all your fibers align tip, 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 and then you spin from the tip end. And if you jumble up your tips and your butts, you're not spinning true worsted. These are all words just to help us define the yarns that we are making, and none of them are taken as gospel. I mean, guys, I'm a chaos gremlin in real life. You better believe I do whatever I want with my yarns, but I do understand what I'm doing and the choices that I'm making. So, perfect example. The Finn fiber that Brittany shared with me was a woolen prep. It came off of a carder. So it came off of a carder, which makes it a woolen prep. Carders are just big machines, big versions of this. And then I spun it long draw. So I spun it with a woolen draft. So there we go. You can talk about your yarn in terms of your prep and in terms of your draft to be as specific as possible. But that is the difference between a woolen yarn and a worsted yarn, and what you could do. Oh my God, I just almost broke my yarn. And then the difference between carders and combs. So I hope that made sense. And again, you can get as specific and parse this down as much as you want. There is a ton of experimentation you can do with it. I love a woolen yarn, because I like yarn that has air in it. Worsted yarns can sometimes be dense because you are squishing the air out of it as you spin it. Just almost dropped my carder on my foot, which would have been bad. Worsted yarns can become dense depending on how much air you're squishing out of it as you spin it. And I just like woolen spun yarns. Woolen spun yarns, because they have air trapped in the yarn, will make a warmer, loftier yarn. So I just prefer woolen, but do what you want, experiment, make choices, do what brings you joy. That's what the spinning journey is for. So let's talk about the things that are bringing me joy. The thing that's bringing me joy that's non-spinning related, you guys, I feel like I can't just keep talking about D&D here. I gotta come up with something else. But the thing that's bringing me joy that's non-spinning related is the lovely people at Worlds Beyond Number dropped 7 episodes. Can you count? I can't count to 7. 7 episodes of the Worlds Beyond Number podcast on Wednesday morning. I am like pacing myself, like I'm taking it like nice and slow so I can savor it and so I can like sink in deep. But I really just want to binge and get it all done. I have 2 episodes left. It is bringing me the most joy. I need to figure out something that's not D&D related. I really enjoy Taskmaster. So that's the other thing that's bringing me joy right now. Joshua and I are watching so much Taskmaster. We are now on season 10. Mind you, I did not know about the show like 2 months ago. So the fact that we're on season 10 tells you that literally all I'm doing with my life these days is spinning, knitting, listening to D&D, thinking about D&D, playing D&D, and watching Taskmaster. That's my life. And I have 0 regrets. The thing that's bringing me joy spinning related is the sock spin. It's just really nice watching people nerd out about fiber and about yarn and seeing all the things that we're learning. I love community learning because I feel like learning occurs better in a group than it does in a vacuum. And so we're all like bouncing off of each other and like trading ideas and trading thoughts, and it's been a real joy. So I'm really enjoying the sock spin. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. So you guys, that is episode... I literally went episode 8. Oh no, that's episode 8 in the bag. Wow, why do you guys come here? That's episode 8 in the bag. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. I do think this episode might be shorter but I don't know what editing will do, but I do think this episode might be shorter. So there's that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and for spending your whatever day this is, provided the cat overlords allow you to have as much screen time as you want. I am working. I'm just going to say that out loud. I'm working on a very secret project, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm hoping to have enough to share with you in the next 2 weeks, and I'm hoping that you guys will be really jazzed about it when I launch my very secret project. It's going to be a project for you guys, for everybody. It's not just for me, and I'm so excited about it. I've just been filled right up. Like every now and then you find something that like lights your fire, and this is doing it for me. So I'm hoping to have my very secret project launched but to talk to you about it in the next 2 weeks. Also, I am working on t-shirts. Apparently people want t-shirts that say I have the dexterity of a goldfish. You guys can't, why would you want the things that come out of my mouth on your bodies is beyond me, but I'm kind of a fan. So There will be t-shirts. Typography is not my friend, so I just gotta find someone else to like do the typography thing. But there will be t-shirts. The super secret project is coming. Welcome to everyone who is joining the Spin Fam. Thank you so much to all my new subscribers. Every now and then I look at the analytics and I was like, this is a wild number to me. So thank you so much to all my new subscribers. Yeah, Instagram in the bio, Ravelry's in the bio if you want to see what I'm making. I almost never use Ravelry, but when I'm done with the project, I do put all the project details there. But like ongoing stuff doesn't happen. But all the stuff will be in the description box. I will see you the next time. I have no idea when I will be here next, so I'll just see you the next time. I love you. Go make something fun today.